Hello, I'm Noah Levine, Editorial Director with Conexiant Dental. Today I'm joined by Sarah Crow, RDH, who's a working hygienist, and we're here to talk today about the Celerant Best of Class award-winning hygiene product, BlueCheck, from Incisive Technologies. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's jump right into it. Can you tell me what BlueCheck is and how it works?
Sure. So BlueCheck is actually a very simple paint-on, rinse-off solution that helps us detect early-stage caries before they're even visible on X-rays or to the naked eye. It's sort of a biomolecule in BlueCheck that binds to this porous enamel, and when there's active demineralization, it stains the area a visible blue color. So essentially, it makes invisible disease visible. So clinicians and patients can see exactly where, the enamel is breaking down in real time.
Well, that sounds very, very useful. How did you first learn about this innovation?
Gosh, well, as the past president of the Massachusetts Dental Hygienists Association, I've always kind of had one foot in leadership and then one foot in clinical practice. So I actually first learned about BlueCheck through my work with Celerant, and my passion for prevention-driven technologies, like guided biofilm therapy. The science behind BlueCheck really kind of grabbed me right away because it finally gives us a tool to detect disease at the stage where we can actually reverse it.
Mm-hmm. So, with your experience trying this product, what is it like? Is there a technique for applying it to get the best results? Does it add more time to an appointment? How does BlueCheck fit in with a typical hygiene prophy appointment?
It's seamless, really. I mean, after the prophy, I simply paint it on, rinse it off, and then just evaluate. There's no real special learning curve. The blue color does the work for you. And it doesn't really add any meaningful chair time. In fact, it makes detection so straightforward. It actually frees up more time, I would say, to focus on, education and prevention strategies with patients, which is certainly my favorite part.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, interacting with patients, how do you introduce this new tool when you're using it with patients, and what's their reaction when they do see these blue stains show up on their teeth after you've painted it on and rinsed it off?
Oh my gosh, they're amazed. It's one thing to talk about early decay, but when you see a blue spot on their tooth, it sort of clicks. I've had patients say, I didn't realize you could see cavities sort of showing up like this before you can even see it on an X-ray. It kind of opens the door for like education, preventative treatments, and I would say most importantly, it reassures them that, we're catching these issues before they become big problems.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously the standard has kind of been we use radiographs, we look at those, you can show them to patients on a screen, but does it click more with patients when they see something on their actual teeth than when you show it to them either with a camera or with a mirror of some kind? Or when you show an X-ray, at least in my mind, it's harder for an untrained eye to really know what you're looking at. So is this something that really makes patient education and treatment explanation easier?
I would say caries is still the most prevalent chronic disease in the world, right? And yet it is completely preventable. So, I mean, too often we're finding it late, right, when the only option is drilling. And so to have a visual detection tool like BlueCheck, it helps to sort of break that cycle, or it gives me the confidence, I would say, as a clinician, to diagnose earlier and to recommend remineralizing therapies, and just kind of strive to practice the kind of preventative dentistry I think we're all striving for.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are other sort of disclosure materials that have been around for a while. What makes BlueCheck different from these, and why is it something that really does stand out from the options that you have in the hygiene armamentarium?
I would say BlueCheck is different from other caries detection materials because it doesn't just flag everything, right? It will specifically bind to active porous enamel. So that means it's highlighting the areas that truly need attention. So it doesn't give any false, positives on healthy or arrested lesions. It's more sensitive, I would say, than traditional methods. Picking up demineralization, like I said, long before we're going to see it on an X-ray. And, because it's visual, it brings both the clinician and the patient sort of together into the diagnostic process.
Hmm. Now, when, you say the word stain, obviously that can mean, something bad when we're talking about teeth. How long does the blue color last on a patient's teeth before, it fades back to what would normally be almost undetectable, visual enamel?
So it's very easy to remove the blue after once you've stained the tooth. So certainly takes just moments or seconds to remove that blue color.
That's great. Is there kind of a key thing that you would share with colleagues if they asked you, I'm curious about BlueCheck. What would you tell them? And, kind of what message would you want them to take away hearing about this innovation?
I just want to say to all of my dental hygiene colleagues that I am so proud of this mindset shift that we have started in dentistry. And, we don't have to watch and wait anymore. We don't have to default to this, drill and fill model. With technologies like BlueCheck, I mean, we can detect things earlier and we can educate our patients and remineralize and heal. And, as someone who believes that prevention is the future of dentistry, I mean, I see this as kind of an innovation. It's going to elevate our profession. It's going to build healthier, more trusting relationships with our patients and with our colleagues.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you'd want to share about BlueCheck before we say goodbye?
I want to say I am so proud of BlueCheck for winning the Celerant Best of Class Dental Hygiene Award. It is certainly well deserved, and high five to the team.
Terrific. Well, Sarah, thanks so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about BlueCheck.
Thanks for having me.